Man on our undercover camera is Omar Harper. Police think he holds the key to solving a murder. But watch what happens when the problem solvers put him on the spot. He says cops are barking up the wrong tree.
I had nothing to do with that. That was somebody else with somebody else's car.
I'll come back to this guy right now, more on the unsolved killing. It all has to do with this fireball captured on a security camera, an illegal street race gone terribly wrong. Delthea Bryson, a Detroit school teacher, was killed when her car strayed into the path of that race. This Mustang slammed into her going over 100 miles an hour.
What is you talking about, man?
I'm talking about the street race.
I wasn't on that street race. I don't talking about.
Who run it? You know they're acting like it's down now.
Cops say Troy McRae was behind the wheel of the killer Mustang. He played dumb when the problem solvers squeezed him back in April. Now he's headed for trial on a second-degree murder charge. The driver of the second car, a dark-colored Corvette similar to this one, could also face a murder charge, but he got away. And that's where Omar Harper comes in. Police suspect he was the owner of the runaway Vette, and if he owned it, cops figure, he ought to be able to tell them who was driving. People who watched the deadly race could also identify the second driver, but nobody's been willing to come forward despite a reward. Hold on, we're about to sweeten the pot. On a recent afternoon, while the moon mist was rolling down the line at Detroit's Faygo Pop Company, a group of workers took time out for a show of solidarity. They're demanding justice for Delthea Bryson.
She was a very well liked woman, just as well as a wife and mother.
They're trying to convince someone who can ID the Corvette driver to speak up.
You don't want to become involved in someone else's crime. When you don't speak and when you don't talk up, you involve yourself and you become the criminal yourself.
At a time when the sour economy has a lot of us pinching pennies, Faygo employees dug deep into their own pockets and kicked in for Delthea Bryson's reward fund.
We'd like to offer this check to Crime Stoppers in the amount of $5,000.
Delthea's husband, Forrest, is a Faygo executive, and when he's hurting, they're hurting too.
Times are hard in the Michigan area for a number of families, but that doesn't take away from what our people here do at Faygo, and I'm proud of that.
Hopefully it leads to the arrest and the conviction of that man that's still out there that still owes for his tragedy that he caused Forrest and his family.
And that brings us back to Omar Harper. When I first profiled this case last April, police searching for the second driver had nothing to go on but a description of the car and a first name.
Yeah, we know it's a newer dark-colored Corvette, and the owner of the vehicle goes by the street name of Omar.
The day my story aired, I got a phone call. A tipster told me the Vette belonged to a guy named Omar Harper. I passed the information on to police. The next day, plainclothes cops went out looking for Omar Harper. They talked to some relatives but couldn't find him anywhere. Eventually, Omar's attorney contacted police and said Omar knew nothing about the deadly race. Then police discovered something very curious. At the time of the fatal crash, Omar Harper didn't own a dark-colored Vette, at least not on paper, but his father did. The Vette registered to Omar's father had been reported stolen, and the timing of the theft was very curious. Who was the other driver? Who's Omar?
I don't know.
Who was driving the Corvette?
I don't know what you're talking about.
The blue Vette, registered to Omar's father, was reported stolen back in April, just days after I put the squeeze on Troy McRae. According to the police report, the Vette was parked at Omar's house when it disappeared. So this Vette gets stolen from Omar's house just as the heat's coming down? Is that just a weird coincidence or a little too convenient? People on the street are telling the police it was your car.
Okay, but what did I do?
Well, you might have been driving it, or you might know who was driving
Well, we know I
it.
wasn't
We're trying to find out who was driving it.
That's fine, but I can't help you with that. I wasn't there. I was not there. Can't nobody place me there. There's no video of me being there, and there's no even video or evidence to support that that's even a car that I had, a car I owned, a car I drove, a car I seen.
Police believe the Vette in question belonged to Omar, and he registered the car in his father's name. But several anonymous tipsters have said someone else was driving.
Several people who drive it, and we're trying to figure out who was driving the car in this race.
So it could have been him, could have been someone else?
Yeah.
Investigators are determined to find out who was driving, and their secret weapon may be the victim herself. Delthea Bryson was so admired that people just aren't willing to let this go.
I tell you, I'm just overwhelmed with the amount of support that I'm getting from the community on this. Just need one other person to give me some support on this. Step forward and please tell me who this person is.